May I have may I have your attention, please? On behalf of all the officers here on the dais, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome first-time members and guests to this, our monthly Holy Name Breakfast. Just a few brief announcements. Firstly, again this month, due to pressing church business, the Monsignor will be unable to attend this morning, so boys, if you wouldn't mind. Secondly, we will be passing the hat a bit later on to help defray the cost of repainting the church's bingo balls. Many of the balls from mid-N to O inclusive are almost completely faded, and this can lead to some ticklish situations for the bingo callers, the majority of whom are Holy Name members, so please be generous. Finally, in lieu of the Monsignor's absence, I'd like to call on our own Jim Zavitsky for opening grace. Jim.
Thank you, Marty. If we'll all just bow our heads and Lord, grant us your peace and contentment now and forever. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim. Well, everybody, dig in.
Are these nuts? Really?
Those of you who aren't finished eating, just go right on ahead. We've got a high mass at 12:15, and I know a few of you are in the choir, so we've got to move things along. At this time, let me call on our treasurer, Pat Donnelly, for the monthly report. Pat.
The figures for the month of January show a balance of $3,011.11. This does not take into account the sum of $611 spent on new cassocks and surpluses for our altar boys, as well as the purchase of a dozen basketballs for our CYO teams, six for our boys basketball team, and 6 for our girls basketball team. Finally, next month we will hold our annual Monte Carlo night on February 14th at the fire hall. There'll be a buffet, dancing, a cash bar, and numerous games of chance as we shed our worries and cares and adopt the fun-loving, carefree, jet-set life of the nouveau rich inhabitants of the French Riviera. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Pat. And now, to introduce our guest speaker this morning, here is a man who truly needs no introduction, a pillar of the church community, and a good friend to all here assembled, Jerry Langley. Jerry.
Thank you, Marty. In the words of Groucho Marx, I thought that my razor was dull till I heard that introduction. Just kidding.
Where's he come up with them?
But no, before we do introduce our guest speaker this morning, how about if we get the kitchen staff out here to thank them for unwrapping the Danish and brewing the coffee? What do you say? Let's get the kitchen staff out here. Here she is, our kitchen staff for the past 18 years and hopefully for another 18 more, Mary Hodlinka. She's a pretty peachy Danish herself. Oh, thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mary. All kidding aside, though, right now, it is my very great honor to introduce our guest speaker this morning, area resident, graduate of County High, attended 2 business schools, 6-time unsuccessful candidate for Borough Council, and now a claims adjuster for the 8th largest insurance firm in the state. And Ed, I hope I won't embarrass you if I borrow on my choir training to say, he wants to live, not merely survive. He won't give up this dream of life that keeps him alive. He's gotta be him, he's gotta be him, willing to try to do it or die. He's gotta be Ed Hartman. Wonderful.
Thank you, Jerry, for that kind introduction. Marty, Jim, Pat, fellow Holy Name members, and guests. Who is a claims adjuster? Is he different from the average person? Can you identify him walking down the street? Does he really enjoy having people come up to him with their problems? The answers may surprise you. The dilemma for me in that particular instance was that a 1965 Chrysler possessed a very low resale value. However, and I want to emphasize this, my primary duty was to ascertain the extent of the damage to the fender and then call the garage for an estimate. But what if the garage was closed? And so, in summation, what have we learned? That a claims adjuster is a unique individual, but that he is also a citizen willing to help his church, his country, and you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. At this time, let me call on Jim Zawitsky for a closing prayer. Jim.
All right, if we'll all just take a moment. Lord, grant us your peace and prosperity now and forever. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Jim.
Nice job.
Thank you all for coming. Just a reminder, our next breakfast will be at 10 a.m. the second Sunday of next month. Our guest speaker at that time will be Jim Zawitsky, who will speak on what it's like filling in for the Monsignor. Mass in 5 minutes. Thank you. Great. Thank you very much, Marty. It was great. Thank you for the prayer. So beautiful. 10 minutes. For the Monsignor. It's beautiful. 10 minutes. 5 minutes.